demand for money. Here we are going to discuss about Keynes's regressive expectation model. For Keynes's regressive expectation model, your reference is Branson. I have already shared the reference Branson with you. Now, when we discuss about regressive expectation model, we should have a fair idea of what a bond is. Bond is basically a debt instrument. So, it is a contract between the borrower and bondholder. Borrower is the person who is issuing the bond. And bondholder is the person who is purchasing the bond. So borrower is issuing the bond and bondholder is purchasing the bond. Now, this bond is secured by collateral. It means that the bondholder is given a security by the issuer, which means that if the bond issuer or the borrower fails to repay the loan, the bondholder will get his money back. Now, bond has a very low interest rate because it is less risky. Now, bond is basically issued by government organization or financial institutions and corporations, etc. And bonds are held by, this is purchased by individuals. And the bond issuing body is indebted towards its shareholders. Now suppose the bondholder is purchasing a bond. Now, when the bondholder is purchasing a bond from the borrower, he is paying the price of the bond. The price of the bond, which is denoted by PB, is suppose rupees 1000. So bondholder is paying rupees 1000 to borrower. Now, borrower is giving rupees 100 at the end of each year. At the end of each year, till the contract is valid between borrower and bondholder. So, the bondholder is getting a return of rupees 100 at the end of each year. So, this is called the bonds yield. It is denoted by Y. Now, what is the percentage yield or rate of return? The percentage yield or rate of return. So, the percentage return that the bondholder is receiving by investing in the bond is denoted by R, which is bonds yield divided by price of bond, y by PB. So here it is y equal to rupees 100 by PB is 1000. So we have 0.1, which is 10%. So rate of return from the bond is 10%. When the bondholder is purchasing the bond, he can expect two sources of return from the bond. He can expect return from two sources basically. First is bonds yield. So price of the bond is rupees 1000 and he is getting rupees 100 at the end of each year. So a bond worth rupees 1000 is yielding him rupees 100 at the end of each year. So this is one return that he is getting from the bond. Next is the potential capital gain. So the second return from the bond is potential capital gain. When he purchases the bond, the purchase price is rupees 1000. Now the price of the bond can increase in the future. Then his selling price will also increase. So his selling price will be more than his purchase price, that is rupees 1000. Then he can get a positive return. So his purchasing price, we know that his purchasing price is PB, his purchase price. If his expected sales price is PBE and PBE is more than PB, then there will be a potential capital gain. Suppose G denotes the expected percentage capital gain. Then, since there is percentage, it can be calculated by PBE minus PB divided by PB. So this is expected percentage capital gain when the sales price is more than purchase price, because selling price is increasing in the future. He is getting another kind of gain. Now PB is Y by R. Y is bonds yield, R is rate of return from the bond. Suppose PBE is Y by RE. The RE here is expected rate of return from the bond. So RE is expected rate of return from the bond. We can put the value of PB and PBE in equation 1. Then we will get, we have PBE minus PB divided by PB. We will get Y by RE minus Y by R divided by Y by R. So solving this, we are getting R by RE. So R is the rate of return from the bond, and RE is the expected rate of return from the bond. G is equal to, G is expected percentage capital gain. G is equal to R by RE minus 1. So we can write the total expected rate of return on the bond, which is denoted by E, since his return depends on two sources. He is getting his return on the bond from two sources. One is the bond's yield. So his rate of return from the bond's yield, that is R. Next is his potential capital gain. So his expected potential percentage capital gain, that is G. So G plus R, G is in a percentage form and R is also a percentage form. So this, if we add this percentage, we will get another percentage form, which is the expected rate of return on the bond, total expected rate of return on the bond. So E is G plus R. Now if we calculate G plus R, we will get R by RE plus R minus 1. This is the value of E. Now we have to calculate the individual's money demand function. Now here, suppose we are assuming that the individual is getting zero rate of return, zero return on money, and expected return on bond is E. So he invests in bond if E is greater than 0. His return from money is 0. This part is 0. We assume this part. This is assumed that if he saves money, his return from money is 0, and his expected return on bond is E, which we have already assumed that there is a part called E. So when he will invest in bond, if E is greater than 0, and when will he invest in money? He will invest in money if E less than 0, because his return from money is equal to 0. So he invests in bond if E greater than 0. He invests in money if E less than 0, because his return on money is equal to 0. So if he saves money, if he saves rupees 10, he will get, if he saves rupees 10 in period T, he will get rupees 10 in period T. But if he invests in bond in period T and expected rate of return from bond E is less than 0, his return from bond will fall. then it's better to invest in money, because return on money is equal to 0. So that is why E is going to invest in money if E is less than 0. Now, before coming to the concept of critical rate of return on bond, let us see why it is called regressive expectation model. In this regressive expectation model, we assume that each individual has expected interest rate, which is denoted as RE. We have already introduced RE, corresponding to normal long run average R. Okay. Now, if the long run average rate of return on bond is more than expected rate of return, then individual expect the long run average rate of return to fall, and that is why it's called regressive expectation. If the long run average is less than expected, then you expect the average to rise to the level of expected rate of return. That's why it's called regressive expectation model. Now let us calculate the critical level of interest rate RC. Why it is called critical interest rate? At this interest rate, E is equal to 0. E is the total expected rate of return on bond. Value of E is equal to R by R plus R by RE minus 1. This is equal to 0. Or so the critical level of interest rate is equal to RE divided by 1 plus RE. RE is the expected rate of return on bond, and this is the critical rate of return on bond, where E is equal to 0. Now we can show the relationship between a person's demand for real money balances and interest rate. Now we have previously discussed that when E greater than 0, that is when his expected rate of return, total expected return from the bond is positive, he is going to invest his total money, total amount in bond. He is totally invested in bond, and when E is less than 0, when E is greater than 0, then R is greater than RC. He is totally going to invest in bond when E less than 0, R less than RC. In the first case, he is going to invest in bond. In the second case, he is going to invest in money. Now, if we take the diagram, his total wealth will be invested. This is the part where this is RC. This is the part where R is greater than RC. So here E is greater than 0. E is greater than 0 basically means that he is investing his total wealth in bond. It also means that he is putting his total wealth into bond. So demand for money is equal to 0. Demand for money here is equal to 0. The next case is the portion where he is indifferent between money and bond, and last portion, rate of return on bond is less than the critical rate of return, E less than 0. Demand for money is present. W is total wealth. So I hope that with this diagram, the Keynes's theory of regressive expectation is clear to all of you. Thank you.